So in the last session, we have discussed about the profiles, and we have discussed what exactly a profile and what is the use and how can we grant the permissions to the users and the features with the help of profiles we have discussed. And then how to grant the permissions on each and every feature we have discussed. We have discussed how to grant the access on the applications and the tabs and the objects and the operations on each and every object, and how to grant the access on the fields by using that multiple mechanisms we have discussed. So now let's see the remaining features here, like how to grant the access on the session settings, password policies, general permissions, custom permissions, Apex classes, Visual Force pages, login IP ranges, login hours. We'll see one by one. Now, the next one, go with that session settings. Okay. So record type settings we'll see later, because the record types topic is not yet over for us. Okay. During that time we'll see. So now let's see the session settings. How can we grant or how can we specify the session settings to a particular profile users? Now let's see practically in this case. So now tell me, what do you mean by a session basically? Session in the sense what? Login hours? A particular time period, okay? What it indicates here? What exactly the session indicates basically? What is the use? Why Salesforce is maintaining the session? What is the use of the session management here? No. Okay, why this security purpose here? Already we have organization ID, user ID is there. Then why do we need this session ID? Now, for example, come to a scenario. For example, I'm having the Salesforce server. So this is my Salesforce server. So this is my Salesforce server. And I'm having the database. I'm having our own database, like as a database.com. So we have the database. This is the database.com. Inside this database.com, we are having so many objects. Okay, we are having so many objects. It may be standard, it may be custom. All the objects are available inside my database.com. Now, so now this Salesforce server is keep on interacting with the database.com, so that it will be having that connection by default. It is integrated with the database.com, so it can able to send the request. It can get the response also from the database.com. It is integrated with the database. Now, I'm having my browser. Okay, I'm having the browser here. So for example, I'm having a system right now. I'm an end user. I'm having my system. Okay. I'm using a system in order to access that Salesforce application. So now I'm using a system, and through this system, I have opened the browser. In that browser, okay, I'm using that URL. Okay, I'm using the URL https login.salesforce.com. Okay, login.salesforce.com. I have entered the URL here. So now, as soon as whenever I'm entering this URL, now the respective login screen has been opened. Okay, the login screen has been opened over here. In this login screen, I'm entering my username and the password. Okay, I'm having this login screen. Assume that this is the login screen that I have. In this login screen, I'm having the two text boxes. One is user to enter the username. Second one is to enter the password. And then I have login button and I have the cancel button. Two buttons are available. I'm having these values. Login button and the cancel button. So now we have specified the label here. Enter the username and this is to enter the password. So this is to enter the password. Okay. So in this case here, I'm using my browser. Okay, in my local system, I'm using the browser. And then I've entered some username, I've entered some password. After entering this username and the password, now as soon as once I click on this login button, the request will be sending to that Salesforce server. Okay, the request will be sending to that Salesforce server. Now Salesforce server will verify. Because Salesforce server will verify. So this is the first time he is logging or already has logged into the application here. Now the user is logging in right now over here. Okay, he is providing the credentials. Now as soon as once you click on login button, now Salesforce server will receive that request. It will verify. So he has logged in already or just now he is logging into the application. It will verify that. So now just now the user is logging into that application. In this case, it is going to be connecting to the respective database.com. It will go to the respective user object. In this user object, it will verify whether this username and the password is available or not. It will verify the credentials of the user here. Once the credentials have been getting verified, if the credentials are valid, with this username, with this password, the user is available. At that time, it will be getting the response back from the database over here. Once the response has been getting received, inside this particular Salesforce server, it is going to be allocating some amount of memory. Salesforce server is going to be allocating some amount of memory over here. Okay? It is allocating some amount of memory. Now this memory called as session memory. It is called as session memory here. Now, in order to identify this session memory, it is going to be allocating a unique identification number that is called as session ID. Okay. In order to identify this memory location, it is allocating a unique identification number that is called as session ID. So now, once the memory has been getting reserved, then Salesforce server is going to be sending the response back to the end user over here. Upon sending the response, it will be sending that session ID also. Inside the response, session ID also will be getting included. Now here after entering that here, credential, as soon as when the user click on login button, Salesforce server will verify that whether this user is logging into the application right now or already he has logged into the application. It will verify. If he is logging into the application right now, then first of all, Salesforce will be sending these details to the database.com to validate the credentials. Once the credentials have been getting validated here, if the credentials are valid, then it is going to be allocating some amount of memory inside that server side. That memory is called as session memory. To identify that session memory, it is allocating a unique identification number that is called as session ID. It's like as a token. Okay, it's like as a token over here. Okay, it's like as a token. Now, in this case, whenever we are going to be, it is sending the response back to the developer. Along with that response, it will be sending that session ID also over here. Whatever the session ID has been generated, session ID also will be appending along with that response. Now from there onwards, when the user performs any operation, when the user makes any request at that time, from the second time here, whenever the user is making the request, along with that request, it will be sending that session ID also. Whatever the session ID has been generated by Salesforce, that session ID also will be getting sending to the Salesforce server. Now Salesforce server will receive that request. From that it will be capturing that session ID is available or not. If the session ID is available, it will verify session ID is inactive or not. If it is active, then it will be processing that request of that server, like as the client, it will be sending the response back over here. That means it won't allocate the memory again. It won't check the credentials again over here. So now in this case, as soon as whenever the user is making the second request, in that request it will be collecting that session ID. Based on that session ID, it will verify whether the session is inactive or not. If the session is inactive, then immediately it will start processing the request here. In order to process that request, in the server side, we need some memory here. Now for that one, only Salesforce is reserving this memory over here. Okay. In order to process that request, it requests some temporary memory to be get allocated. So for that one, Salesforce is using this session memory over here. In this session memory only, the request will be getting processed. If there is any temporary results are available, those temporary results will be getting storing inside the temporary memory, session memory itself. Once the request has been getting processed, it will be sending the response back over here. Okay. After that, when the user makes one more request, along with the request session ID will be keep on appending over here. So that here, no need to validate the credentials every time. Only first time it will validate the credentials. Once the session memory has been getting allocated, then along with the request and response, you will be having the session ID will be available. So that here, with the help of the session ID here, it is going to be processing the user's request automatically without redirecting the user to that login screen again to provide the credentials. Okay. Now, in this case here, allocating the memory space inside that server. That means for each and every user, it is allocating the memory space. For example, you can raise a question. Sir, for example, one more person is going to be logging into the application over here. Another user from a different location. At that time, for this user, once the user has been getting validated, credentials are valid, for this particular user, different amount of memory will be getting allocated over here. User to user, session memory will be completely different. Now, this user request will be processing inside the session memory over here. This user's request will be processing inside the session memory over here. For each and every user, session memory will be completely different. Okay? For every user, session memory will be completely different. Now, in this case, whenever it is allocating that session memory, for each and every session memory, it is allocating that ideal time. Okay, it is allocating that ideal time here. Ideal time. So what do you mean by this ideal time here? That means how long time this session memory will be available as idle. Okay? How long time this session memory will be exist as idle. Now, generally for most of the applications we are indicating as 20 minutes. Okay? For most of the applications we are configuring it as 20 minutes. But that too, it is purely depends upon that application. For the banking application, the session timing will be very, very less, like as some 15 seconds, 30 seconds max, not more than that. Once the 30 seconds are over, within the 30 seconds, if you did not give any response, automatically session will be getting closed. Then we have to swipe the card again. We have to provide that PIN number again over here. So in this case, for each and every session memory, it will be allocating that ideal time period here. Okay. Now, in this case here, for example, observe what will happen. Assume that I am the user 1. Okay, I am the user 1. So now, today morning at 10:30 a.m., I have entered my credentials by logging into that, using that login.salesforce.com. I have entered my credentials. When I click on login button, my credentials have been getting validated by the Salesforce server. It has allocated the memory for me here. This is the memory. Session memory has been allocated. Now, in this case here, from there onwards, keep on, I'm accessing some emails. I'm accessing so many features inside the application. I've accessed the application till 11 o'clock. Till 11 a.m., I've accessed the application over here. At 11 o'clock, I got a call. Okay, at 11 o'clock, I got a call. So now, I went outside. I have attended the call for around 1.5 hours. It's an interview call. Suddenly, the people have scheduled the interview. They have conducted the interview in the first attempt itself. So that it's an interview call. So I have given the interview for around 4.5 hours. That means from 11 o'clock to 12:30. I have attended the call till 12:30 a.m. Okay, till 12:30, I have attended the call here. Once the call is over at 12:30 p.m., I came back to my system. When I click on that, any of the link, any of the button, what will happen in this case? It will redirect the user to that login screen here. Okay, login screen. Why? Because session idle time is what? 20 minutes. Within that 20 minutes, if the user did not send any request, then automatically whatever the session memory is available inside that Salesforce server, now the session memory will be releasing by Salesforce. Okay, the session memory will be releasing by Salesforce over here. Now, at 12:30 p.m., when you came back to your system, when you click on any button here, request is sending to that server, along with the request, your session ID will be getting forwarded, then Salesforce will verify whether the session is inactive or not. But the session is not active, session memory is already released, session ID is already deactivated, so that in this case, session memory is not allocated, so immediately Salesforce server is going to be redirecting the user to that re-login screen, so please re-login into the application again here. Okay, that means what? Yes, your session is already over. Session idle time is 20 minutes. Within 20 minutes, if you did not make any request, automatically that memory will be getting released by Salesforce over here. Session memory will be getting released, so session ID will be getting deactivated, so that here we have to regenerate that one more session ID by logging into the application again over here. So again, we have to log in into the application by providing your credentials. Okay. So now in this case, it is going to be allocating that session memory also inside that Salesforce server. Now for that session memory, it is going to be indicating that time period over here. Okay, it is indicating that time period over here. Then how long time the session will be getting available inside this here? Okay, how long time the session will be getting available? For that one, to indicate that settings, we are going to be using an option called as session settings. With the help of this session settings, we can specify how long time this session will be in active status over here. That means in idle status over here. We can indicate. Then where we can specify this session settings over here. Now let's see practically. Now, for example, take a general scenario. I'm using a banking application here. Okay, I'm using a banking application. It may be any banking application, whatever you want. Axis Bank application, ICICI Bank application, whatever. If you did not respond to that application for 5 minutes, okay, then automatically it will be redirecting you to the login screen again. Because banking application data is very, very confidential, very, very sensitive. If you are accessing that banking application through the web, at that time it will be giving maximum of 5 minutes, not more than that. Within that 5 minutes, if you are not using any feature, if you did not click any button, if you did not click any link, automatically session will be getting expired. Like the similar way when you go to that ATM. For example, I swiped that card. I went to the ATM to withdraw some money. I swiped that card. Entered the PIN number. The PIN number is valid. Selected the transaction type as withdraw. So now, I've entered the amount, like some 5,000. I need to press the yes button. Suddenly I got a call. I have attended the call for 1 minute. After attending the call, when you come back this one, when you look into the screen, what will happen? Transaction will be over. That means again you have to start from the start over here. That means what? For the banking systems, depends upon the application, we can able to specify that idle time also. The possibility is available. So in this case, in order to specify the session settings also, we are using the profile. Inside the profile level, for this particular profile users, how long time the session memory will be in idle state, we can indicate that. Then where we can specify that session settings here. Now let's see practically. Let's go to that profile. Let's go to the profile. For example, I'm using the development user profile like as CAS Salesforce profile. You will be having the session settings. Click on this edit button. Okay, click on this edit button to modify the profile level permissions. When you come down, here you will be having the option called as session settings. Okay, we can indicate that. How long time the session will be in inactive status? That means idle status. We can indicate. Now, Salesforce has given that information. Like as 15 minutes of inactivity, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours. Like that depends upon your requirement, we can able to indicate over here. Now, for example, assume that I'm using the Gmail application. I have logged into the Gmail application in the morning at some 2 o'clock. For half an hour, I have used that application. After that, I'm not using that. I went outside. After 2 hours, I came back again to my system. When I click on that Gmail, that application will be getting loading or not? Yes. Because for the Gmail application, they are going to be configuring more time. Okay, it may be 5 hours, it may be 8 hours also. So that here depends upon the application, we can able to indicate how long time that session will be in idle status. Okay, for that one, Salesforce has given the various time periods. Depends upon your application requirement, we can able to indicate that time period, how long time the session will be in idle status. So we can specify with the help of that profile level itself. Okay, clear? Now, so now by default, when coming to a Salesforce instance, it is indicating that 2 hours of inactivity here. Okay, your session will be getting available till 2 hours here. Okay, within the 2 hours here. Okay, within the 2 hours here, if you did not get any response over here, then automatically session will be getting expired. Okay, now from there we have to re-log in into that application again. Now, so for that one, to specify that session settings, we are using that profile itself. The next one, password policies. So now what do you mean by this password policies option? With the help of this password policies option, we can able to indicate here how frequently the user has to change the password. Okay, how frequently the user has to change the password, that we can decide over here. Okay, we can decide how frequently the user has to change the password. Okay, now, so now here in this case here, when you go to some real-time organizations, for your systems, we have to change the password for every 45 days, or for every 60 days, or for every 90 days. Mandatorily, we have to change the password because of the security reasons. They will enforce you to change the password here. Even though if you are not willing to change, then once the 2 hours are over, that is 2 months are over, automatically when you log in into the application, that application is going to redirecting you to the login change password screen. So you have to change the password of your application again. Because to maintain the security. For that one here, they are going to be configuring that how frequently the password has to be get changed. So here also we can able to indicate how frequently the user has to change their passwords. For every 1 month, for every 2 months, for every 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, or what? How frequently the user has to change the passwords here. For that one, we can able to indicate the password policies. By using the password policies, we can able to indicate how frequently the user has to change the password. Whenever the user is changing the password, at that time, how many number of characters to be get provided minimum? Like when you go to that password, you will be having some minimum length. Like how many number of characters should be there inside the password minimum? Like as minimum 5 characters, minimum 8 characters, 10 characters. We can indicate that here. How many characters should be there inside the password minimum? We can indicate that. And then whenever the user is giving the password, then what kind of complexity rules the user has to follow? What kind of complexity rules? That means what? Whenever I'm going to changing the password, then you have to specify that password as strong. Make the password strong. Like as by including some alphanumerical values, uppercase, lowercase letters, and some alphanumerical values along with some special characters, we can make our password strong. Because if I'm using combination of all these things, then at that time, for the hacker people, it is very difficult to decode my password here. If you are including that alphanumerical values, uppercase letters, lowercase letters, and special characters, at that time here, in order to decode that password, it will be very difficult for the hacker people. So that we can make our data protected. We can make our application protected. We can make our application secured also. For that one, always we have to make our password strong. For that one, what kind of complexity rules we have to follow? For that one, we can indicate that rules with the help of this password policies option. Okay? And then, in this case here, whenever we are going to be changing that password, or whenever you are trying to be logging into the application by entering your username and the password, if you forget the password, then what we can do? I've entered some wrong password to log in into the application multiple times. Then in this case, how many invalid login attempts to be get allowed? Okay, how many invalid login attempts to be get allowed? We can indicate that. When you go to your bank applications, by using that ATM, when you try to log into that banking application with the 3 times wrong PIN number, automatically account will be getting locked for the next 24 hours. Like the similar way, how many invalid login attempts you want to allow? Suppose, for example, we can indicate either 3 or either 5 or either 10 or unlimited also we can indicate that. But in this case here, if you are trying to, for example, I am giving that number of invalid attempts are some 5. Now 5 times I have entered that wrong password here. At that time, my account has to be get locked automatically here. So till how long time my account has to be get locked? We can indicate that here. Because after 15 minutes, lock has to be get released. After 1 hour, lock has to be get released. After 1 day, lock has to be get released. We can indicate that. We can specify all these options also. And whenever we are changing the password, then what about that password remembering? That means what here, how many password the Salesforce has to remember. Like upon changing the password, the new password should not be equal to the previous 3 passwords. Like that, we can able to indicate how many passwords the Salesforce has to remember. That Salesforce is having the capability to store up to the previous 24 passwords. Okay. Whenever you are changing the password, that your new password should not be equal to the previous 24 passwords. Okay. So those many number of passwords the Salesforce can able to remember that here. For that one, we can specify all this password policies information inside your profile. Now let's see practically here. Let's go to that here. Go to the password policies section. Here we can able to indicate that. So now user password expires in. That means here how frequently the user has to change the password. By default, Salesforce is indicating that 90 days. That means 3 months. Okay. So now after creating your Salesforce account, okay, you can use that same password for the 3 months. Once the 3 months are over, automatically Salesforce will enforce you to change the password of your application agent here. Then in this case, we can indicate here. I don't want to change the password for the 90 days. I want to change the password for every 45 days, or 60 days, or 180 days, or 365 days. Or sometimes I don't want to change the password at all. I want to continue that same password lifelong also. We can indicate that. That facility has been given by Salesforce that we can indicate that. Now for every 30 days, we can indicate that. We can enforce the people to change the password for every 30 days, or 60 days, 90 days, 180 days, 1 year, never expires. These are the various options has been given by Salesforce. Now tell me, anytime have you faced the problem from Gmail to change your password? No. Gmail never asks to change the password here. The same password you can continue lifelong. That means Gmail password cannot be expired because they have indicated the option as never expires. So the password will not get expired. You can continue to use the same password lifelong also for the Gmail application. That possibility is available here. Here also we can able to set this option, depends upon your requirement. If you did not set this option, then by default, for every 3 months, Salesforce will enforce you to change the password. Okay? Now, after that, we can specify that. So now enforce password history. How many passwords the Salesforce can remember that? By default, it is remembering the 3 passwords. If you want to indicate, we can indicate that here. Now Salesforce is having the capability to remember the previous 24 passwords also. Okay? The next one. Whenever you are giving the new password, how many number of characters should be there inside the password minimum? What is the minimum password length? We can indicate that. Either 5 characters, 8 characters, 10 characters, or what? We can indicate that. Next, the password complexity requirements. So in this case, whenever we are going to be creating that password, then what kind of complexity rules you have to follow? Like it is indicating no restriction. That means you can use anything, whatever you want. Here must include alphanumerical characters, nothing but alphanumerical values. Next one, must include alphanumerical values and special characters. Next one, include numbers and upper and lowercase letters. And the next one, must include numbers, uppercase and the lowercase letters and special characters. And then it is indicating that must include 3 of the following: numbers, uppercase letters, lowercase letters, and the special characters here. So from this one, any one of the 3 we can able to follow over here. Like that here. So they are giving so many complexity requirements to you that we can decide depends upon your requirement over here. Now, after that, whenever we are logging into that application, how many invalid login attempts will be getting allowed over here? Okay. How many invalid attempts will be getting allowed over here? We can able to specify that information also. Now by default, Salesforce is giving the 10. If you want to change it to 3, you can specify 3 or 5 or 10 or no limit. When you go to the Gmail application, n number of times you can log in into, you can try with that wrong password. Okay. So it won't block your account over here. Okay. N number of times you can able to try. No problem at that time. And after that, lockout effective period. That means here, whenever you are crossing this limit, if you try to log in into the application, okay, with a 10 times wrong password, when you try to log in into the 11th time, automatically account will be getting locked out. Then how long time this account will be in the locking period here? So now we can indicate that either 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 60 minutes or forever. If I am giving like as forever, then at that time, if you try to log in into the application multiple times with the wrong password, your account will be getting locked out, so it won't releasing the lock again. If you want to unlock that account, then we have to send an email notification to the administrator. Boss, I am also one of the end user of your application. This is my user ID. Yesterday, I tried to log in into the application with the wrong password multiple times. So for that one, my account has been locked out. So please, okay, unlock my account over here. So that here, he will be unlocking that account over here. Then only we can able to log in into the application from there onwards. So that here, we can able to indicate forever must be reset by the administrator over here. Okay, like that we can able to specify that options also over here. Okay, these are the various password policies we can able to indicate inside that profile level. Okay, now the next one. So we can specify the general permissions also. Depends upon your requirement, we can specify the general permissions, administrative permissions, custom permissions, system permissions also we can able to specify. Like for example, for a particular user, I want to grant the permission to a user. Okay, I want to grant a permission to the user so that he can create some Apex classes inside that. Okay, now I want to grant the permission to the user to create Apex classes. Directly, the normal users can't create Apex classes. In order to create the Apex classes inside that organization, they need a permission. What is that permission? They need a permission called as Aadhaar Apex. Aadhaar Apex is a permission which we need to grant to the user. That means this user can be the author of an Apex class. Author means what? The people who are writing that, who are creating that here. So in this case, this user can be the author of an Apex class. That means this user can create the Apex class. He can write some Apex classes. He can store some Apex classes inside the organization. So in this case, we can able to indicate that here. So whether this user can able to create some Apex classes or not. That possibility is available here. Next, generally, when coming to my Salesforce instance, we are creating so many records and we are removing those records which are not required. So now whatever the records are deleted, where the record will go? Inside the recycle bin. In the recycle bin, the record will be available for 15 days. Okay. So within that 15 days, at any point of time, I can restore that record back to the actual object here. Suppose, if I am not restoring the record back to the object within the 15 days of time, then if the record is older than 15 days inside the recycle bin, then Salesforce will be removing that record permanently from your Salesforce instance without giving any prior notification to you. Okay. Now, sometimes, okay, I need a facility that I want to remove the record. Okay, I want to remove the record. That records I want to remove permanently. When I remove the record, it should not go to the recycle bin. It has to remove permanently from my Salesforce instance. Because I'm not using those records since very long time. Those are unused records. Those are unnecessary records. I don't want those records. I want to remove the records permanently. When I remove the record, it should not go to the recycle bin. It has to remove the record permanently from a Salesforce instance. I want those kind of permissions. For that one here, we need a permission inside the profile level over here. Grant the permission to remove records permanently. In this case, we need a permission over here. What is that permission? We need a permission that is called as bulk API hard delete. Okay, bulk API hard delete. By using this bulk API hard delete, then we can able to grant the permission to the user. The user can able to remove the records permanently from the Salesforce instance without moving to the recycle bin over here. Okay. So now this kind of permissions you can grant. In some cases, for the users, I would like to grant only the transfer permission. Okay, only the record transfer permission. I don't want to grant edit permission. I don't want to grant delete permission. Only the transfer permission I would like to grant. Okay, at that time we can able to grant those permissions also. So all these permissions will be available inside your profile level itself. Now, let's see. When you go to your profile, you can able to grant the permissions also. You will be having the option of administrative permissions over here. So many permissions are available. Look, we have a permission called as other Apex. So now whenever this checkbox is selected, then only this user can able to create the Apex classes inside my organization. Or else he can't create any Apex classes over here. Next, bulk API hard delete permission. By using this bulk API hard delete permission, then this user can able to remove the record permanently from the Salesforce instance. Without moving into the recycle bin, the user can able to remove the record permanently from the Salesforce instance also. And along with that here, we can able to grant the permission and manage roles. That means you can able to configure the roles also inside your organization. You can able to assign the roles to the users also. That possibility will be available to you over here. So now here in this case, so we can able to grant so many permissions, manage users permission. That means if the manage user permission has been getting granted, then this user can able to create some new users, and we can able to add some new users. You can modify the users permissions, and we can able to deactivate the users. You can able to freeze the user also. If I'm not granting this permission, then at that time, this person cannot be able to manage the users inside this organization. Like that here we can able to configure the permissions also, depends upon the requirement over here. Now, so now sometimes here we can able to grant only the transfer option over here. Now in this case, sometimes they will raise a question to you in the entry point of view. I have a user. The user can able to see the record. Okay, I have a user can see the record. This user is not having the permission to modify, he is not having the permission to delete. Now in this case, for that user, I want to grant only transfer permission here. Only transfer permission I would like to grant. That means remaining fields inside the record he can't change. Just he can able to change the owner of the record. He can transfer the record from one owner to another owner only. Generally, if you want to transfer the record owner, then you will be the owner of that record. Only the owner will be having transfer permission. Other users will not be having that. But this user is not an owner, even though he is another third-party person. For that person, I am granting the permission to transfer the record to other people also. So at that time, he can't modify my record. He can't delete my record. Just he can transfer my record ownership to the other people also. For that reason, here we are going to be using that option called as transfer record permission. It's a common question in every interview. I don't want to grant edit permission. I don't want to grant the delete permission to the user. Just I want that user can able to transfer my record. At that time, just to go to the profile. In that profile, you can able to grant the permission called as transfer record permission. Whenever this user is having the transfer record permission, then this user can able to transfer the record ownership even though he is not the owner of the record. Even though he is not having edit permission, even though he is not having delete permission, he can transfer the record ownership from one owner to another owner also. That possibility is available here. Okay. So these kind of permissions you can able to grant. Now, I'm indicating that. Like that, we can able to grant the permissions also inside this. So these kind of permissions you can able to grant inside your profile level itself. Depends upon the requirement. Based on the need, whatever the administrative permission or general permissions or custom permissions that we need to grant to the person, we can able to grant that permissions also over here. Okay. So now we can able to grant this kind of permissions also to the user. Like as Aadhaar Apex permission, we can grant bulk API hard delete permission, transfer record permission, like that. These kind of general permissions, custom permissions, administrative permissions also we can grant to the person, depends upon the requirement. Okay. The next one, the login IP ranges and the login hours. Then what do you mean by this login IP ranges and the login hours over here? Login IP ranges. Come to the login IP ranges. What it means? IP address is for what? Why? Why that IP address? Okay. In order to allow the users to log in into the Salesforce application between the specified IP range itself. Like for example, come to a general scenario. Assume that 1 week back I have joined into an organization as a Salesforce developer. So recently I have completed my course, Salesforce course. I have attended the interview. Luckily in the first attempt I got a job. I have joined that company here. From there onwards, keep on every day they are assigning some task. So every day I am completing the task on time. By end of the day I am delivering those requirements here. As usual, today also they have given a task to me. It's a bit complex task. Okay, I have started implementing on that. But in the middle of that development I have stuck up somewhere else. I am not getting any idea how to go ahead. How to complete this requirement. But I need to complete this requirement by today end of the day because today we have a release to the QA. Okay, today we have a release to the QA team. So we need to include this requirement also inside the today's release. Then I'm not getting any idea how to go ahead. When I contact my colleagues also, those people are also busy with their work. They're not helping out here. Then what we can do? Then what we can do? In this case, so I contacted one of my friend. Okay. So now he is working in a different company. Okay. So now he is having some much knowledge on Salesforce. He is working on Salesforce since almost some 4 to 5 years. So I requested him, boss, this is the requirement they have given to me. It's an urgent requirement. We need to complete this requirement by today end of the day itself. Now today he is free. So he agreed with that. So now please share me the requirement. I will try to implement that here. Now I am sharing my credentials to him. I have explained the requirement. This is what the requirement they are expecting here. Now, he has logged into my application with my credentials. Okay, he has logged into my application with his credential, with my credentials from the outside. Now, whenever that person is logging into that Salesforce application with my credential, it will be tracking his system IP address automatically. Okay, Salesforce will track his system IP address over here. Now, I have logged into the same application from the office. He is logged into the application from the different system here. With the same user ID, 2 people has logged in here from 2 different locations with 2 IP addresses. How is it possible? In this case here, when coming to my administrator, my Salesforce administrator is keep on tracking all these kind of things here. Any other people are working on behalf of our employee. Any other proxy person is logging into my application or not. For that one, the administrator is going to be keep on tracking that information. Now he has identified that. So with my credentials, another person has logged into my application, from a different system's IP address over here. Now at that time, now in this case, he made a call to me that he told that here, your credentials have been shared to somebody else so that other person has logged in and he is doing some malfunctioning inside the application. So now to avoid this kind of malfunctioning, what my system administrator will do is, my system administrator is going to restricting the Salesforce application that can be accessible within my company network itself. Within my company itself, they can able to access, we can log in into the application. When you try to access that application, when you try to log in into the application from outside of the company network, it should not be accessible here. We can't log in. He has restricted that here. So in this case, how can we restrict that? In this case, we are going to be using a feature called as login IP ranges. We are using that feature called as login IP ranges here. So now what is this login IP ranges here? By using this login IP ranges, we can able to indicate, what is that starting IP address of your LAN network, what is the ending IP address of your LAN network over here. We can configure the starting IP address, ending IP address also over here. Whenever you are trying to be logging into the application, Salesforce will collect your system's IP address. It will verify whether this IP address is false between this range or not. If this IP address is false in between that range, then only it will allow you to log in into the application, or else it won't allow over here. Okay, or else it won't allow. Like for example, come to a general scenario. Assume that I'm having my organization. In my organization, I'm having that LAN network. Okay, I'm having this LAN network is available here. So this is the LAN network for my organization. Is the local area network here for my organization here. Okay. Now, in this case, inside my LAN network here, for each and every LAN network will be having some starting range and ending range will be available here. That means how many systems that we can connect inside this LAN network. We can indicate that. So, for example, for this LAN network, assume that it is having the range of connecting to 200 systems. It is having the capability to connect the 200 systems over here. So in this case, it will be having the range like this. We can able to connect to that various systems here. Totally 200 systems we can able to connect. We can connect 200 systems. We can connect 200 systems over here. Now, so now we can able to connect maximum of 200 systems over here. We can able to connect maximum of 200 systems, not more than that. Like that here we can able to specify. Only 200 systems can be getting connected, okay, inside this particular LAN network over here. Okay, 200 systems you can able to connect. For each and every system, it will be allocating that network over here. Nothing but it will be allocating a range. Like for example, it is indicating that here. For example, my LAN network will be starting range is like this here. Like some 192.168.1.1. It will be the starting IP address over here. This is the starting IP. And the ending IP is 192.168.1.200. Like that here we are having the starting IP range and the ending IP range will be available for my network over here. So here the range is available for my system in this case. Here is the range. In this case, for this particular connection, okay, for this particular port, it will be having that range. Because this range, this number is 192.168.1.1. So this is the port over here. Okay. Now for this one, it is having that port number 192.168.1.2. For this one, the third port here, it is having the third port. We can connect one more system. Like that here, it will be having that various ports. Like for example, it is having that 178. And it is having that 200. Like that. Totally 200 systems you can able to connect inside this LAN network over here. Now, when coming to the Salesforce, Salesforce has given the facility to you that we can able to restrict the application in such a way your application can be accessible within this network itself. Outside of this network, we can't access. Okay, we can restrict the application here. Like for example, come to a general scenario. Assume that I'm a bank employee. Okay, I'm a bank employee here. Every day, I'm going to the bank. I'm going to be completing the customer's transactions. So we are entering into the bank, we are accessing the bank application, and we are going to be completing the customer's transaction. It may be deposit, withdraw, opening the new accounts or loans also, whatever. We are giving the services to the bank customers here. Today, I'm not feeling well. So in this case, I thought of I would like to take the work from home option. So can you inform to my manager, if any customer come to the bank, please send to my home so that I will give the service? No. Why? Because here, even though I'm a bank employee, I can't access that bank application from outside of the bank branch. Because that bank application is very, very confidential, very, very sensitive data is there. Because we're dealing with the money. So at that time, we have to maintain the confidentiality so that here the bank application has been restricted in such a way that application can be accessible within the bank branch itself. Outside the bank branch, you can't access, even though you are the bank manager. Even though you are the branch manager, you can't access that bank application from outside of that bank branch. That much of restrictions are available over here. That means whenever the people are trying to be accessing that application, what are the system they are using, now the application will collect that system's IP address, it will verify whether this IP address is false in between this range or not. If the IP address of your system is false in between this range, then only Salesforce will allow you to log in into the application, or else it won't allow over here. Okay? So for that one here, we can able to indicate that. We can able to indicate that the IP ranges also. That means with the help of that system's IP range also, we can able to restrict that application can be accessible within a specific network area itself, not outside of that network area. So that we can able to avoid some malfunctioning. Okay, so that we can able to avoid some malfunctioning also, so that other people can't log into your application, okay, from the outside. Okay, now, clear? So for that one, how can we configure these IP ranges here? Now, whenever you are configuring these IP ranges, we have two levels are available. Upon configuring the IP ranges, we have two levels. One is in profile level, second one is in organization level. Okay, one is in profile level, second one is in organization level. Like for example, so now this is the profile level. That means, for example, this is the network for that SR Nagar branch. Like the similar way, one more network is there for the Begumpet branch. There they will be having different, the LAN settings are available. That range is completely different. They're having a branch in some Madhapur. So for that branch, there is a different LAN network is available. They're having some different ranges available over here. So now in this case, every branch employee has to work from that specific branch itself over here. Okay? Now, in this case here, whenever if you want to access the application, then we can able to go to the respective branch, and then from there only we can able to access that application. Because inside your user's profile level, they have configured that you can able to access the application from your bank branch network itself, not from the other branch over here. Okay, not from the other branch, you can't access your application. But in some cases, I need that facility. Like for example, come to a general scenario. Assume that I'm working in an organization like some TCS. So now, I'm working in that organization from Hyderabad branch, from some Adi Batla. So every day I'm going to the office by spending some 2 hours of time. I'm working over there for an application. I'm working for a banking application. So banking application is very, very restricted, so that we have a separate network is available. Okay, we have a separate network is available for that banking application. So nobody can enter into our cubicles. We have a separate room is available where all the employees are working inside that for this particular project. Now nobody can enter into that, and we can't access other websites also like our Gmail, Google, nothing. We can't access even all these websites also because completely blocked. It's a very restricted network here. Every day I'm going to the bank branch, so I'm going to that organization. I'm working from there here. We don't have any work from home options, because it is a banking application, so that it's purely restricted network, so we don't have any work from home options. They will be allocating purely desktops, so every day we have to go to that organization, we have to work from there itself here. Now for example, so now I'm in a vacation today. For the next 1 week, I'm in a vacation. I went to the Bangalore. Okay, I went to the Bangalore. So because of a vacation, it's a pre-approved. Okay, it's an approved leave. Okay, since almost 1 month I have applied for this leave. So now they have approved that. I'm in a vacation for the next 1 week. I'm in the Bangalore now. Now, today they're facing a major issue in the application. Okay, today they're facing a major application issue in the application. My manager called me, where are you? Okay, he asked me here, where are you? So I said that I'm in Bangalore right now. But we have a major issue, okay, in the application, we need your support. So, but I said that I'm in a Bangalore here. Then what we can do? Our application is restricted. That can be accessible within that organization network only, but I'm outside of that city. Then what we can do? How can I give my support? At that time, my manager told me here, in Bangalore, nearby your location, we have our development center is there. Go to that TCS branch, which is in some Bangalore. Go to that particular branch. I will inform to the branch people. One of my colleagues is there. I will inform to that person. He will allocate a system to you. Log in from there. Okay, please give the support here. Now in this case, what we can do? So we need to give the support to that application here. So at that time, I went to that branch, okay, which is in some Martali or somewhere, Electronic Sales City, wherever. I went to that branch. So now I entered into the TCS company. They have allocated a system to me. I have logged in from there. I can able to access that. I have resolved that problem. Even though my system has been restricted, can be accessible within my bank, within my organization, I can access from the outside also here. Because here, we can able to access that application from not only from Hyderabad branch, from Bangalore branch also. Suppose when I go to the US, because of the client request, I went to that on-site here for the same project here. For some time, I got some 3 months of on-site opportunity. I need to work from the client location over here. At that time, I need to access the same application. Okay. So in this case here, not only granting the permission, okay, only for a particular branch, sometimes we need to grant the permission from that multiple branches also. That means from any one of that company branch, we can able to access here. That facility should be required for me. In this case here, if you want to restrict the people to access that application only from your organization, from your branch, go with the profile level. If you want to grant the permission to the people that the employee can access your application from any one of your development center, from any city, from any location, at that time, specify that permissions from that organization level over here. Okay. In this case, you can specify that IP ranges in 2 levels. One is in profile level, second one is in organization level. How can we specify the profile level? How can we specify the organization level? Now let me explain. If you want to specify inside the profile level, just to go to your profile, okay, just to go to your profile, when you come to the last, you will be having that option here, login IP ranges. Okay, login IP ranges here. Now click on this new button to specify the IP range. Okay, click on this new button to specify the IP range. Specify the starting IP address, nothing but starting IP range and the ending IP range over here. Okay, specify the starting IP range and the ending IP range over here. Like for example, I'm indicating like, so 192.168.1.1. And I'm indicating like as up to 200. This is the IP address we have configured. Okay, this is the IP address we have configured. Now, so now for this particular feature, okay, don't do the practice here. Okay, if you are giving some wrong IP address, you can't log into your application from there onwards. Okay, now that's the problem. So in this case here, you have to understand the concept first here. Okay, don't do the practice on this one. If you know that IP range, then only you can configure. Okay, else don't do the practice for this one. Okay, now. And now here in this case here, specify that starting IP address and then ending IP address over here. And then you can specify the branch. Because we can specify some SR Nagar branch. Okay. Once you click on save button, automatically it is going to be saving this IP range over here. From now onwards, when the user is trying to be logging into the application, it will collect that user's IP, system's IP address. It will validate that IP address is false between this range or not. If it is false in between this range, then only it will allow the user to log in into the application. From there, they can access here. Okay. Now, in this case, sometimes my company has given the facility to me that I can able to access from the another branch also over here. At that time, click on save button. You can add one more branch also over here. Like we can able to go back to that IP address over here. One more range also we can add. Multiple ranges also we can add. After adding one, we can add one more range also. Multiple branches from the multiple branches we can able to access that. That facility will be available to you. Okay. Now, so in some cases, if you want to allow the person to log in into my application, from any branch in the entire world, at that time, just you can go to that organization level. In organization level, just you can go to that security control. In that one, you will be having an option called as network access. Go to the security control. We are having an option called as network access. Once you click on this network access here, we can able to add that IP ranges over here. Okay. So we can specify that IP ranges. Now it is indicating that the list below contains IP addresses ranges from sources that the user can able to log in into that here. Okay. Now we can able to add that starting IP address, ending IP address also we can able to add. Okay. Clear? Now, in this case, sometimes they will raise a question in the entry point of view. Okay. Now, for example, assume that I'm logging into my application here. When you're logging into my application, okay, now it is asking me to configure my mobile number over here. I need to configure the mobile number. Why? Why? Why we need to configure my mobile number here? If I am accessing the same application from a different system, then it will ask me to provide that OTP. Because that already told you Salesforce is purely supporting two-step authentication process here. Okay? Two-step authentication process. In the first step, provide your credentials. In the second step, you have to provide that OTP here. Nothing but verification code. Sometimes in the entry point of view, they will raise a question. I want my Salesforce application. I want to log in into my application from any system in the world without providing the OTP. Okay? Without providing the OTP here. Then how can we do that here? In this case, inside your system, okay, when you go to your Salesforce instance, go to that profile level of that administrator, configure the universal IP address. Okay, configure the universal IP address over here. What is the universal IP address? Now let's see. Okay, universal IP address here. Now, the starting is 0.0.0.0. And the ending IP address is 255.255.255.255. This is called as universal IP address. Inside your organization, inside your profile, for the administrator, if you are configuring the universal IP address, then automatically, whenever we are logging into the application from any system in the world, it won't ask you to provide the OTP directly with the credentials. It will log in into the application directly here. Okay? So now that facility has been given by Salesforce here. Now, we can configure your universal IP address also inside your profile level for that particular user. So from any system in the world, he can able to access your application. Okay? Without providing the OTP. OTP is also not required. Okay? OTP is not required. It won't generate the OTP feature over here. Okay? This is how we can able to restrict that application by using the specific login IP ranges here. We can restrict that application can be accessible within the bank branch itself or within the organization network itself. From the outside of the network, we can't access that application. Because that already we have discussed in the initial classes itself, Salesforce is not only used to access the CRM application. With the help of that Salesforce platform, we can build your own applications also, like banking applications, finance, insurance, healthcare, life sciences, pharmaceutical. At that time, these kind of applications data is very, very confidential, very, very sensitive. We need to protect this data from the unauthorized people. So for that one here, to restrict the application features, to restrict the application data, they are going to providing these kind of security configurations also. Generally, if you want to implement this kind of login IP ranges facility in the other programming languages, it will take minimum 1 month of time to configure this kind of functionalities. Because we don't have this kind of ready-made features, then everything we have to implement by our own. But here in Salesforce, simply we can able to configure by using that starting IP address, ending IP address here. That's it. Okay? Now, the next one. The login hours. Login hours. Then what exactly the login hours over here? What is the use of these login hours? Okay. Now, as of now, we have restricted our Salesforce application can be accessible from a specific network range itself. Now, in this case here, we can go a step ahead. Okay, we can go a step ahead that within that network, if we are trying to be accessing the application, I want to restrict that application that can be accessible between the specific time period itself. Okay, between the specific time periods only we can able to log in into the application. We can restrict the application like that. Like for example, come to a general scenario. Assume that I'm a bank manager. So every day I'm going to the bank, I'm giving the services to my customers. So as part of the bank policy, whenever a customer has been applied for a loan, that loan application requires my approval. As a bank manager, I need to approve it. Then only the loan will be getting disbursed. So now here in this case, since for the last 3 days, I'm in a vacation. Okay. since the last 3 days, I'm in a vacation, I'm in a leave because of some health issues. So because of my leave, so many tasks in pending. So many items are waiting for my approval. So today I thought of, why can't I go to my bank a bit early? My bank timings are from 8 to evening 4 o'clock. So I thought of today I will go to the bank branch a bit early by 6 o'clock in the morning so that I can complete some of my pending tasks. So in this case here, even though I'm a bank manager, when you go to the bank branch by morning at 6 o'clock, then my bank application cannot be accessible. Because bank application can be accessible from morning 8 o'clock to evening 6 or 4 o'clock only here. Before 8 o'clock, I can't log in. After 4 o'clock, I can't log in. Because this is the application functionality. The application has been restricted that we can log in into the application between 8 to 4 only, not more than that. Not before 8, not after 4. Like the similar way, I think everybody is utilizing a feature called as Tatkal facility to reserve some train tickets. Tatkal facility will be available from where? From what time? 11 o'clock. Okay. If it is a AC reservation, that will be starting from 10:30. If it is a general reservation, it will be starting from 11 o'clock. Before 11 o'clock, okay, we can't reserve the ticket through Tatkal facility. Tatkal facility will be available from 11 o'clock onwards only, not before, not after here. Okay. So in this case here, they are indicating that that feature can be accessible during a specific time period itself. Like the similar way, when coming to a Salesforce application also, we can able to restrict that application can be accessible during that period of timings itself. Like 10 to 6 only, or Monday to Friday itself, or Monday to Saturday also. At that time, Monday to Friday, morning 8 to evening 4, and on Saturday, morning 8 to afternoon 2 o'clock. Like that we can configure. Depends upon our requirement, we can indicate during what time periods the user can log in into my Salesforce application. For that one, we indicate that we are using that login hours facility given by the Salesforce. Okay. Now, in this case, how can we configure the login hours? Now, let's see. Now, so let's go to that profile of that user. Go to that user's profile. In that user's profile, we can able to go to that login hours facility here. We have an option called as login hours. Now we can specify during what timings the user can, these profile users can able to log in into the application here. Now click on edit button. Now we can specify here. Now for example, I would like to configure. Now from the Sunday to Saturday, we can configure that. For example, Sunday will be the holiday. For example, here I'm indicating as holiday so that Sunday the user can't log in into my application. Now the Monday I'm indicating like as some morning at some 10 o'clock here. Okay. Now morning at 10 o'clock to evening 5 p.m. here. And then Tuesday also 10 o'clock to 5 p.m. Wednesday 10 o'clock to 5 p.m. Thursday 10 o'clock to 5 p.m. And the Friday 10 o'clock to 5 p.m. And Saturday 10 o'clock to 2 p.m. Okay. So in this case, depends upon my requirement here. We can configure during what timings the people can able to log in into my application. For example, if it is a bank will be having Monday to Friday, they will be having that full hours, because 10 to 5. If it is a Saturday, they will be having that half day only. Because Saturday, they will be having that 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. only here. Okay. They can't access that. They can't log in into the application after 2 p.m. So that here, they will be stopping the transaction by 1 o'clock in the afternoon itself. From there onwards, we can't do any more transaction. Withdraw, deposits, we can't do that. Okay. In this case here, whenever we are going to be logging into the application into your Salesforce will track your login time. It will verify whether your login time is available in between this particular range or not. If your login time is in this particular range, then only Salesforce will allow you to log in into the application, or else it won't allow. For that one, we can able to configure that. Okay, the facility is available to you. Okay. Now, sometimes you can raise a question. Sir, for a bank, second Saturday will be the holiday. Okay. Then what we can do? If I am indicating like this here, so now second Saturday will be the holiday for the bank. So now in this case, during that second Saturday and Sunday, the people can't log in. Even though he is a bank manager, he can't log in into the bank application from the bank branch. Then how can we restrict that? At that time, we can able to go with that holidays period. Go to that company profile. We are having that holidays. Okay. Configure the holidays over here. Indicate that holidays. Now we can specify that holiday name. Okay. Now I'm indicating over here like as some second Saturday. Okay. Second Saturday here. Now in this case we can specify from which date to which date we can specify here. I'm indicating that here. We can specify that. Now here we can specify the recurring. Recurring holiday. Because here every month second Saturday will be the holiday. So we can specify over here. Now we can specify here monthly. We can indicate that here. So on the second Saturday here. Okay. Second Saturday. Okay. On the second Saturday will be completely holiday. Okay. So that the bank employee won't work. Like that we can add one more holiday. Fourth Saturday will be the holiday again here. Okay. We can configure. If there is any national holidays are available, we can configure initially itself. Because the bank people are getting the complete next to 1 year holidays calendar at the starting itself. Based on that, when coming to the bank branch, they will be having some headquarters will be available. It may be in Mumbai, it may be Pune, somewhere in Delhi also. There they will be configuring the national holidays also by using this holidays option. During this holidays period, you can't log in into the Salesforce application. That means your bank application also you can't log in. We can configure the holidays also over here. The possibility will be available to you over here. Okay. So now we can indicate that here from which date to which date this will be applicable over here. Okay. We can able to specify over here. So initially, when coming to second Saturday, also the bank will be second Saturday will be the holiday. Okay. But fourth Saturday is also holiday nowadays here. That has been introduced from almost some 2 years back or 1.5 years back. From that period of time till what time? Lifelong. Okay. Till that lifelong here. Second Saturday and the fourth Saturday will be the holiday for the bank people, for the bank employees here. Okay. So now in this case, slowly they will be adding that first Saturday and third Saturday also, like as okay, the IT employees here. Okay. Now, so now here in this case, at that time we can able to configure that, referring starting from which date it has to be get started. Till what date it will be holiday on the second Saturday. So we can specify that no end date, lifelong it will be continuing as the same. Okay, every month second Saturday will be the holiday for that bank employee, so that they can't log in into the application. Like that, we can able to configure that holidays also inside your Salesforce instance. During this holidays period, okay, the people can't log in into that application over here. Okay, now. So in this case, we can specify that holidays also over here, and along with that, we can specify the login hours also. Depends upon your requirement. During what timings the users can able to log in into the application, we can configure. Okay. Now, so now here in this case, for example, assume that I have a small requirement over here. Assume that I have configured that login hours. Okay. I have configured the login hours as from Monday to Friday. Okay, from Monday to Friday, the user can log in into the application at 10 o'clock. They can log in, access the application till evening 6 o'clock here. These are the timings and we have configured inside my organization. For my profile, users have specified that login hours as Monday to Friday, the user can log in into my application from morning 10 a.m. to evening 6 p.m. Now assume that today is some Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday. As usual, I came to that organization morning at 10 o'clock. I have logged into the application. Okay, I have logged into the application. I have accessed the application till 11:30. So 11:30, I went for a snacks break, a tea break here. Okay, I went for a tea break. Now I came back by 12 o'clock. Okay. I came back by 12 o'clock. I have logged into the application 12 o'clock again. I have accessed the application till 1:30 p.m. So at 1:30, I went for the lunch break. Okay, I went for the lunch break here. I came back by 2 o'clock again. Okay. I have logged into the application at 2 o'clock. I have accessed the application till 4 p.m. At 4 p.m., I went for a snacks break. Okay. Now, I came back by 4:30 p.m. From there, I'm accessing the application. Now the time is 6 o'clock. What will happen in this case? Can I continue to access my application? Or will Salesforce will be prompting me, boss, the time is over, so please close the system, go home. Or else, abnormally it will be logging out my session. What will happen in this case? I'm in the middle of something. I'm doing some operations inside that. I'm in the middle of something. Now the time is 6 o'clock. What will happen? It's a common question in every interview, in every admin certification 201 also. Then it will be. Now, in this case here, it will be processing in the next day. Or what will happen? So now in this case, I have logged into the application at 4:30 p.m. I'm working on some features. Now the time is 6 o'clock. I haven't looked into the time. I'm keep on working in that. I'm in the middle of something. Even though the time is 6 o'clock, still you can able to continue to access that application here. Okay? You can continue to access that application. Okay? You can continue to access the application also. Okay? For example, at 6:30, okay, I went outside here. Okay? I went outside. I came back by 6:45. Okay, 6:45. Can I log in now? No. That means what here? Even though the specified time period is over, you can continue to access the application over here. But once you have logged out, then from there onwards, you can't log in into the application. When coming to the banking systems, even though the bank system will be getting accessible from morning 10 o'clock to so evening 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, the transaction posting will be getting done up to 4 o'clock only in the afternoon. Why? Because from 4 to 5 period, okay, from 4 to 5 period, they are going to be generating some reports. Like how many customers has visited today, how many new bank accounts we have opened today, how many deposits they have made, how many loans has been sanctioned, how many loan applications has been received, how many withdrawals has been made, how many bank lockers we have opened today. And then the whole information, they will be generating some reports over here. So in this case, whenever we are going to be using our Salesforce application, if the specified 6 o'clock, the time period is over, from there also you can continue to access the application, but once the 6 p.m. is over, automatically Salesforce will go into the read-only state here. Okay? From 6 o'clock onwards, you can't perform any DML operations. No insert, no update, no delete, no undelete, nothing. Only we can get the records from the database, we can generate some reports. That's it. We can't perform any DML operation. DML operations will be getting prevented from there onwards. Okay? Once the 6 o'clock is over, automatically the system will go in the read-only state. From there onwards, you can't perform any DML operation. That's what here, when coming to the banking system also, they will stop the transaction by 4 o'clock itself. Because from 4 o'clock onwards, the system will go in the read-only state. From that, simply they will read the data. They can collect the data from the tables. They will generate some reports over here. That's it. So that they can send these reports data to the other higher official people over here. Like the similar way here also, when coming to the Salesforce, whatever the specified login hours has been configured, so once the login hours time period is over, still you can able to continue to access the application. But from that period of time, automatically Salesforce will be going into the read-only state. DML operations will be getting prevented from there itself. Only we can read the data, we can generate some reports over here. We can't create any record, we can't modify, we can't delete, we can't undelete the records over here. Only retrieving the records information, that's it. Okay? We can't save any records here from there onwards. Okay? Save in the sense insert. We can't save anything here. Now, so now here in this case here, so that when coming to the login hours, whatever the login hours you have configured, once the login hours has been over, from there Salesforce will be moving into that read-only state over here. Okay? So this is the feature of login hours which has been configured by Salesforce. Okay? That means they have given all the security features to restrict the application accessibility. Okay? From where we can access the application. During what timings your application can be accessible, everything we can able to decide with the help of the security features itself. Okay? Now, next one we can specify what Apex classes the user can able to access over here. When you go to your profile, when you go to that user's profile, we can indicate what Apex classes the user can able to access. Now, so now in this case, it is indicating that enabled Apex classes here. Now, generally here, this user is not having the accessibility to access any of the Apex class. If you want to grant the access on a particular Apex class to the profile user, just you can go to that enabled Apex classes access, click on edit button, select the Apex classes which you would like to grant the access here. I have created few Apex classes over here. Now I would like to grant the access on these Apex classes to the user. Now, so that here we can able to grant the permissions also. Now, this user can able to access only these two Apex classes over here. Other Apex classes he can't invoke. Other Apex classes he can't access over here. Like that, we can able to grant the permission. Like the similar way, we can able to specify the Visualforce pages also. What Visualforce pages this user can able to access that? We can able to grant the access on the Visualforce pages also. During the development, we'll see how to grant the access on each and every Apex class and Visualforce pages also. We'll see practically over there. Because here we haven't discussed any Visualforce page concept, that will be the development part. During the development, we'll see this concept over here. Okay. So these are the various permissions we can able to grant, okay, with the help of profile level. Okay. Clear? Now. So now in this case, it's a common question, difference between role and the profile. Sometimes they will raise a question here, difference between role, profile, and the permission set. Okay, it's a common question here. Okay, now we will see a new feature as part of the security that is called as permission set. Permission sets. Then what exactly a permission set? What is the use? Okay, addition and permissions to the user. Okay, now, for example, assume that I have an organization. I have an organization here. In my organization, we are having so many features are available. Okay. In my organization, I'm having so many features are available. For example, here I'm having an object here. I'm having an account object here. For this account object, I'm giving that OWD option as private. I'm giving that OWD option as private. Okay. Now, so now we have three users are there inside my organization here. I have three users inside my organization. User 1, I'm having three users are available. User 1, user 2, and the user 3. Three users are available inside my organization over here. So these are the three users are available. User 1, user 2, and the user 3. Three users are available here. So now all these three users are belongs to the same profile. All the three users are belongs to the same profile. I have a profile over here. Okay, I have a profile. I have a profile. Inside this profile, for my account object, I have given the permission. For this account object, I have given only the create permission and the read permission. Okay, only read permission and the create permission I have granted over here. Now the same profile I have assigned to all the three users. Okay, I have assigned the same profile to all the three people here. Now tell me, user 1 will perform what kind of operation on account object? Read and create. Now this user 1 can able to perform the read operation. That means he can able to see the records which he has created, or somebody has shared the record. Those records he can able to see, and he can able to create some new records also. Next, what about the user 2? User 2 also having the same permission because he is also belongs to the same profile. User 3 also will be getting that same. Okay, because here all the three people are belongs to the same profile, so that here all the three people will be getting the same access, that is read and create permissions on my account object. But now for this particular user 2, along with that read and create, I would like to grant edit permission and the delete permission also. What we can do? These are the two additional permissions I would like to grant to the user 2 only, not to all the people. Then what we can do? Can you go inside the profile? Can you specify these permissions, edit permission and delete permission over here? No. Why? If I'm granting in the profile level, what will happen? All the users will be getting the same permissions. But I don't want to grant to all the people. I want to grant this permission only for this user 2 itself over here. Then what we can do in this case? In this case, what I need to do is, whatever the additional permissions are required for this user, these additional permissions I am granting to the user with the help of a feature called as permission set. With the help of this permission set, we can able to extend the permissions granted by the profile. Okay. So whatever the permissions has been granted by the profile, if you want to extend the profile level permission, then we can go with that permission set. Okay. Permission sets are used to grant additional permissions to the specific users, not to all the people. If you want to grant this edit and delete permission to all the people, don't come to the permission set, go to the profile level itself. So that if I'm granting that permission inside the profile level, that permission will be getting applicable to all the three users automatically by default. But I don't want to grant this permission to all the people. I want to make it visible to only to that user 2 only. For that one, whatever the permissions you are granted through the profile, if you want to extend those permissions, okay, if you want to extend those permissions, at that time we can go with that permission sets. So with the help of the permission set, we can extend the permissions of a user which has been granted through profile. The profile level permissions we can able to extend that. Profile is not granting edit permission, but my permission set will override the profile over here. Profile will override the OWD, permission set will override the profile over here. Okay, this is the extension capability that we have. Okay, now in this case, how can we create that permission sets in Salesforce here? Now let's see practically. Now, in this case, for example, here, in order to grant this permission sets here, okay, in order to grant this permission set, I'm creating a separate permission set over here. This is one permission set I'm creating over here, which I would like to create. For example, this is the permission set 1. Permission set 1. I'm assigning this permission set to the user here. Okay, now. So after 1 week, my client asked me, so please grant edit and delete permission also to the user 1 also here. Then what we can do? Can I assign the same permission set to the user 1? Because for the user 1 also I want to grant the same permissions here. In this case, assign that same permission set to that user 1 also. Okay. Now, after 1 more week, my customer said that, okay, for the user to grant the permissions on the lead object also here. As of now, he is having the access on only an account object. Please grant the access on the lead object also. For that one here, I am creating one more permission set here. I am creating the permission set 2. In that permission set 2, I am granting the access on the lead object here. Lead object, create, edit permissions. And the read permission also, 3 permissions. Now this permission set I would like to assign to that user 2. Now, What is the association here? Whatever the users are available, all the users information will be storing in which object here? Users information will be storing inside that user object. All the permission sets which you have created, that will be storing inside that which object? Permission set object here. Okay, permission set object. Now tell me how the association is available here. User to permission set, what is association? One to many. Permission set to user? Permission set to user? One to many. One permission set, multiple users here. Now from user to permission set one to many, permission set to user one to many. What is this association? Many to many association. Okay. Between user object and the permission set object, we have many to many association. If it is a many to many association, then how can we achieve this many to many association? With the help of junction object. Now tell me, what is the junction object now? Already told you during the relationship concept. What is that object name? Anyone? I will give you the clue. That will be starting with permission set. That object name will be starting with permission set. So don't refer the notes. No. Right. Permission set assignment. Okay. Permission set assignment. Permission set assignment is a junction object between user and the permission set object here. That already I have given this information also during the relationship concept. So there we have discussed about that standard junction objects here. During that standard junction object, clearly I have given that between the user and the permission set object, we have a junction object called as permission set assignment over here. Okay? Junction objects are very, very important here. So now here in this case, when coming to that user and the permission set, we have the many to many association is available. For one user, multiple permission sets we can assign, and one permission set we can assign to that multiple users also. So that here we are having many to many association is available between these two objects. So that here we are having that a junction object that is called as permission set assignment. Okay. Now, in this case, how can we create this permission set over here? Okay. Now let's see practically. Now, for example, assume that I am having this profile, CIS platform profile. In this profile, I am granting the permissions over here. And the account object I am granting only read and create permission. So, whatever the users has been associated with this profile, all the users will be getting only read permission and create permission on that account records here. Because here I am granting only read and create permissions on the account object. So that if I am assigning this profile to the three people, then all the three people will be getting only read and create permission on that account object. So that in the account object, they can create some record, they can see the records. They can't modify, they can't delete the records here. Okay, now. So now let me save these permissions here. Now this profile has been assigned to whom I want to know. How can we see to which users this profile has been assigned? Click on view users link. Once you click on view users, these are the users are available. These are the 2-3 people which has been assigned to the same profile over here. Profile is the same. Now log in into the customer user. Just to go to that account. He can't modify the record. He can't delete the record. Just he can able to see the record. That's it here. Okay. He can see. He can able to create the records also. He can able to see the record. He can create some new records also over here. For example, I'm creating a new record. Sample test record. Even though he is the owner of this record, okay. Even though he is the owner of the record here, I'm entering some values. Even though he is the owner of the record, okay, Even though he is the owner of the record, he can't modify, he can't delete the record here. Okay? He is the owner because customer user is the owner. He is the creator of this record here. But even though he is the owner, he can't modify, he can't delete. Just he can create, he can see the record. That's it. Okay? So now like the similar way, the remaining two users also. Like as a manager user, this person also just he can able to see the record and he can able to create the record. That's it. Okay, he can able to see the record, he can able to create the record. He can't modify any records here, so that there is no delete button, there is no edit button is available here. Now log in into the testing user also. On this account object, just he can able to see the record. That's it. He can't modify, he can't delete. Now in this case, what I want to do is, now from these three users, for the customer user, I want to grant edit permission, delete permission also. Okay, I want to grant edit permission and delete permission also. How can we do that here? How can we create that permission set? Now all the three people are belongs to the same profile here. Now, whenever in the entry point of view, if they ask the question, I want to grant the permission to the users, okay, like this, like as edit and delete permission. Okay, then at that time, how can we do that? They will raise a question. Now raise the question over here. Now you want to grant the permission to all the users inside the profile or to that specific user only. Raise the question here. If they said that I want to grant this permission to all the users inside the profile, then go with that profile level permissions. If they said that I want to grant this permission to only to the specific user, then what we can do? Permission set. That's it. To a specific user, go with permission set. To all the users inside the profile, then go with that profile level permission. That you have to decide whether we can go with profile level permissions or permission set level here. Okay. Now, in this case, all these three users are belongs to the same profile over here. So now I want to grant the edit and delete permission to that customer user only. So that one I would like to create a permission set. How to create this permission set? Now let's see practically. Go to that manage users, click on permission sets. Okay, click on permission sets. So now these are the few permission sets which has been given by Salesforce by default here. Okay, these are few permission sets which has been given by Salesforce by default. But these are not useful to me. I want to create my own. Then how to create our own permission set? Let's see practically here. In order to create a new permission set, click on that new button. Inside this permission sets section, we have a button called as new permission set button. Create a new permission set over here. I'm giving the permission over here, like as permission set name.
We are currently improving an issue with your audio connection.
Edit and delete access
Please stand by.
To customer user on account object. Okay. Grant, edit and delete access to customer user on account object here. I'm indicating that permission set label and the description. Now click on save button. Once you click on this save button, now permission set will be getting created. Now we can able to grant the permissions over here. Now, in this case, you can raise a question. Sir, we are having that profile, then why should we go for permission set? Then if the permission set is there, then what kind of permissions we can able to grant through permission sets? When coming to the permission sets are used to grant almost all same like as the profile level permission, except two permissions here. Whatever the permissions we are granting through profile, the similar kind of permissions we can grant through permission set also, except two permissions, that is login IP ranges, second one is login hours. Okay, login hours, login IP ranges, these two permissions we can't grant through permission set. But that will be possible through profile over here. Except these two remaining like a same like as profile, nothing different. Okay? Now, so now in this case here, you can raise a question. So what is the difference between this profile and this permission set here? Now tell me, upon creating the user record, profile is mandatory or optional? Mandatory. Permission set? Optional. Okay? Now the first difference. When coming to that user, how many profiles we can assign? Only one. How many permission sets? Multiple. Okay, these are few differences we can raise. Okay, now in this case, when coming to the permission sets are used to extend the permissions to a specific user. Okay, to a specific user, if you want to extend some permission, then we can go with the permission sets here. Okay, now I'm creating a permission set with the name grant, edit and delete access to the customer user on account object here. Now, what kind of permissions you would like to grant? We can specify application level permissions, connected apps, object permissions, app permissions, Apex classes, Visual Force pages, external data sources, custom permissions, system permissions, or what you want to grant. Now I would like to grant the object level permissions. Click on object level permissions over here. Now, on what object level you would like to grant the permission? I want to grant the permissions on my account object. Click on accounts. Now, what you want to grant? You want to grant the permissions on the fields. You want to grant the permissions on that operations here. No, you will be having the operations is available. Fields level also, permissions also we can able to grant with the help of permission sets. Now I want to grant the operation level here. Click on edit button. Now what kind of permission you want to grant? Edit and delete permission I would like to grant over here. Now click on save. Like the similar way, if you want to grant the permissions on some different object here, then we can able to grant. Select the different object here, like as some cases. On the case object also, if you want to grant the permission, select that case object over here. Click on edit button. Select that what kind of permissions you would like to grant on that case object fields also over here. That means multiple permissions we can group together, like as a profile, we can assign to the users over here. Okay? So now in this case here, once a profile, a permission set has been getting created here by adding the required permissions, then assign this permission set to the user. Okay, assign this permission set to the user. How can we assign this permission set to the user here? Just to go to that user to whom you want to assign the permission set, like as some customer user. Go to that customer user, assign the permission set. When you come down, you will be having a section called as permission set assignments section. Okay, go to that permission set assignments section. Here we can assign the permission set which you want. Click on this edit assignment. Now these are the various permission sets are available. From this one, which permission set you would like to assign. Select that permission set which you would like to assign to the user. Click on save. Now automatically, now this permission set will be giving some additional permission set to the permissions to the user. The user can able to modify, he can delete the records also. Now, let me verify that here. Let's go to the users. Go to the customer user. Go to the accounts. He is having the record access over here. He will be having the edit button also, delete button also over here. He can modify, he can delete the record also. Click on edit, you can modify the values. Okay, you can delete the record also. But when you go to that, the testing user, he is also with the same profile. When you go to that records, just he can able to see the record, he can't modify, he can't delete. Both the buttons will not be available. So that depends upon your requirement. If you want to assign some additional permissions, then we can go with that permission sets. Okay, clear? Now, so now as of now, you know so many features are available in Salesforce. You are aware of so many features of Salesforce now. Now, sometimes in the interview point of view, it's a common question in every interview. Could you please explain about that Salesforce security model? Then, what we can do? Do I need to explain all these 24 features one by one, one by one? No. Then what we can do? What we can do? So now simply we can explain, okay, we can give the information. Salesforce security model has been divided into 5 levels. Okay, Salesforce security has been divided into 5 levels. So you can say that we are having 5 levels of security in Salesforce. Like the first one, system level security. Okay, system level security. And then we have application level security. And then we have object level security. And then we have field level security. And then we have record level security. These are the 5 levels are available in Salesforce here. Salesforce security has been subdivided into the 5 levels. System level security, application level security, object level security, field level security, record level security. Now tell me, how can we grant the system level security here? Today we have discussed those features. Login hours and login IP ranges here. Now, system level security, that means who can log in into my application, when they can log in into that we can decide with the help of this system level security here. That can be done with the help of login IP ranges, login hours. Along with that, we can implement with the help of SSO, single sign-on, single sign-on facility also. Okay. Now application level security. Then how can we grant access on your applications? What ways are available? Profiles. The similar kind of permissions we can grant through one more way. Permission sets. Okay. Permission sets. Application level security can be done with the help of profiles and permissions. That means whatever the applications that we have, we can grant the access on your application to the people with the help of profile level and permission set level here. Through permission sets also we can grant the access on your applications. Next, how can we grant the access on your object level? Profiles. One more. Permission set. Just now we have granted access on the object level permissions here. Next, field level. Profiles and field level security button. Then one more. Then today's topic here. Permission sets, right? Field level security, and then we are having the permission sets. Record level security, how can we do that here? How can we grant the record level access? How can we make the records to be get visible? Based on roles, OWD, manual sharing, automated sharing, and the Apex sharing. Any more thing? Suppose inside my profile, if I am selecting view all and modify all, then what will happen? The user can able to see all the other user records also here. That flexibility will be available to you. Okay, so that with the help of profile also. Okay, but generally view all and modify all permission will be available only for the administrator, not for the other users. Okay, now. So these are the 5 levels of security features are available in Salesforce. If anybody asks in the entry point of view, could you please explain about the Salesforce security model or Salesforce security features? Then you can explain in Salesforce the security has been subdivided into the 5 levels: system level security, application level security, object level, field level, and the record level. Okay, stop the answer there itself. Then they will raise a question, how can we grant application level security? Then explain about that profiles and permission set. So then they will raise a question, what is the profile, what is the permission set? Okay, then explain that information about that. Sometimes they will raise a question, how can we grant the record level security? Then you can explain roles, OWD, sharing concept like as manual sharing, automated sharing, and then Apex sharing, profiles like that. Then they will raise a question, then why should we go for automated sharing and why should we go for Apex sharing? Then at that time, give the information over here. Okay? Don't give the whole information at a time, give the short information. Then they will raise some more questions on that so that slowly we can capture the person to our side. Okay? So this is the concept of security features in Salesforce. Okay? Clear?